Om Sri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. Mind always directs us to do what it wants. A person who controls his mind, he will be under control. Always, mind should be controlled by us, but mind should not control us. If mind controls us, we cannot think of what we are doing, because mind is lot of creator, acts like a creator and creates many more things. It makes sometimes troublesome, sometimes it takes ownership, and you have to observe your thoughts and meditate. Basing on these things, today I took the topic mind is a creator. Let us discuss in detail after prayer. Karpura Gauram Karunavataram Samsarasaram Bhujagendraharam Sada Vasantam Hridayaravinде Bhavam Bhavani Sahitam Namami. The mind is a creator of your world. No matter what you might believe, this is an unalterable fact. Everything we experience, everything we think of is solid or independent, enduring or impermanent, right or wrong. Everything out there or not me is actually only apprehensible through our minds, which even take the impressions of our senses, like soft wax takes the impression of steel. That is a function of mind. However, people make a very big leap when they hear things like this, and they say that can't be true, because there are lots of things that happen that I don't want to happen, that I would never create out of it. Things that implode on me, things I could never imagine happen. This is confusing mind and will. The world is not created through will. As we learn repeatedly, when our will fails to produce the effects we want, or when our will is thwarted, even though we love them, blossom, fall, and even though we hate them, weeds spread. So, because our will fails to construct the world we want, or to prevent the suffering we experience, we refuse to recognize that in fact, mind is a creator of the world. We can know and experience and connect with no other world than our mind perceives and represents inside us. Even in interaction, we can only process the activity with mind as the agent. Our bodies relay chemical and electrical impulses, and our minds construct a world from this vibrational activity. Mind is also not defined by the operations of intellect or conceptual understanding. In the Lankavatara Sutra, the Buddha has an extended dialogue with Mahamati about the nature of mind, reason, the nature of reality, and the distinction between the Buddha's teachings and those of the philosophers of his day, who even back then were apparently arguing about the very same thing as philosophers today. Subject and objects, definitions of existence and non existence, the reality or unreality of the world and so on. In that sutra, the Buddha talks about two kinds of intellect: the intellect that examines, and the intellect that analyzes and discriminates, defines, and labels. But ultimately, mind stands outside of language and its constructs which necessarily arise within mind and cannot contain it. We have all had the experience of our normal sense of reality falling away and the conventional sensory world we know disappearing. Maybe it was when transported by a beautiful piece of music or in the moment of sexual union with a beloved. Maybe it was even under the influence of some drug or at the moment of a car accident or while you were in the checkout line at the supermarket. Another name for this will is ego. It masquerades as mind and specializes in making discriminations and judgments, in carving the world into pieces with labels, categories, names, routines, and predictable patterns with likes and dislikes. This was an evolutionary necessity for managing chaos and an overwhelming array of sensory experiences. Our survival depends on this coping mechanism and the strategies it has developed over millennia. Nothing requires a name or a label. Nothing needs to be taken care of. There is nothing to fix or do, nothing to judge. But that is not the way we typically think of our practice. We have deeply entrenched belief in the necessity and power of our will imposed on ourselves and on our world. We believe that by simply using our will, we can lose weight, stop being depressed, be more organized, stop our unhealthy habits, become kind or even enlightened. We cheat our success in imposing our will on ourselves, losing a few pounds, straightening out a closet, forcing ourselves to do something we have been avoiding or dreading, having a moment of clarity in Georgian. We judge ourselves and others as lacking strength of will when there is a setback or when there is we don't measure up to our standard. We talk uh, truthfully about trying to find more time for our practice of meditation. More often, though, we are confronted with the failures of our will to change ourselves or fix ourselves. It should be humbling for our egoic will, but it seldom is. We bring the same core belief in the power of will into practice. Meanwhile, we are also busy imposing our will on our world and others in it. Sometimes it is through outright projects or goals, and at other times it is in the form of subtle manipulations to get others to do what we want or to treat us in the way we want, to fix them in some way or to somehow get others to stop being themselves. We seek comfort, security, approval, and predictability. As with attempts to impose our will on ourselves, there are patchy successes and abundant failures in this effort to exert our will on the world. The intermittent successes, however, have us convinced that we have the right idea, but we just have to try harder or get smarter or find a new situation, a new job, a new partner. Maybe a workshop or a training will strengthen our willpower. Maybe a new meditation technique, a new book, a new teacher will push us over the edge of enlightenment. This is a relentless optimism of our will, which is constantly affirming its capacities and skills, constantly making promises and projections of its future success. Those of us or parents have a poignant sense of the shortcomings and failures of this approach. Unfortunately, the will is a delusional byproduct of our immature interpretations of experience and our requirements and demands of life. In Buddhism, we call this conditioning, and it is a poorly crafted imitation of our aspiration, which is the natural, unforced expression of mind as activity. The whole process arising with mind, which is without agenda, without agitation, without manipulation of anything or anyone, including yourself. How will there be any progress? What about the world? In a full blown panic, it will accuse you of abandoning your dreams, of becoming a passive stump, of neglecting what ought to be done. But awareness of mind and the constructions arising in mind is certainly not the path to passivity, apathy, or disassociation from the activity of the world and the fulfillment of our everyday life are our responsibilities and our work. It is about being fully present to everything and not believing any story we might create about it. We can hardly imagine such a life. That is, the will can hardly imagine it. It really does not want to, because it really does not want means life in which our will becomes merely a tool or instrument like any other, rather than the organizer of experience, the judge of progress, effectiveness, and attainment, then manipulator of ourselves and others. We don't try to get all of our information about the world from Fox News. We don't believe the stories told by delusional conspiracy theorists wearing tin foil hats. We don't expect a 3-year-old to drive the car to Dallas. And we can't depend on our will to determine the practice path of waking up and growing up. So, what is there to do if we can't actually do anything else? We are simply turning it inside out so that it points towards the mind rather than away from it, so that it helps as occurred with the life rather than opposite, and so that it can be help us recall occur fundamental liberation. That liberation is not the product of will, no matter how skillfully applied, because it is already fully present in the vast, boundless mind that permeates every being, place, and time. You cannot attain it no matter how hard you will try, because you are never, despite your own terrifying and despairing ideas about this, even one from apart from it. The Buddha called his teachings the path to disenchantment. When we awaken from the trance of will, we find ourselves quite naturally and easily here, right now. So let us sit, not to achieve enlightenment, and even to free all beings, not to get better, but because in Jajan we fully express mind and fully experience ourselves and the entire universe as mind, and we fully rest in the mind as our own true home. There are three steps will help you master or just improve your mindset for more happiness and success. Number 1, take ownership. Acknowledge that you do have an impact on your thoughts and that you are the only one responsible for building good thinking habits. 2. Observe your thoughts and meditate. Get to know your thoughts, mental habits, mindset, and thinking patterns. Choose new thoughts. Intentionally build more positive, powerful, and beneficial thinking patterns and change the disappointment thoughts that you catch into more empowering ones. It is said that God created man in his image. By that taken, it was meant that we as humans should possess God-like qualities, at least the potential of achieving such qualities. In almost every religious culture, man is constantly called to discover his real life. The entire struggle of his love, why that he had been dissonance between the two participate. What and do we do, who we are, and what and who you aspire to be. My job is to remind you of what your true potential is. And your job is to remember and try and attain it. Awareness, mental strength, kindness, consideration for others. These are qualities we try and develop on our way to realization. One of these qualities is crucial to achieving this end: self awareness, the fact of looking at ourselves, our mind and quote our motivations with clarity and understanding where we are on the path of the self realization. One of the great errors the mind is to pay much undue attention to that process is. I feel that may not us someone and to tie to courage to look at ourselves and in the mirror and you get we look at each other with magnifying glasses. This is how we make ourselves miserable. Let us have the courage to see ourselves clearly, knowing younger your own shortfalls is a fearless way of living because only when you know these can you put your foot down and say okay now I have to improve, I have to change. The right way is to understand that everything is within you and so work with yourself and develop yourself. That is Prabhu stand that the mind is a creator for everything. It is not so easy to acquire, to feel that everything is in your hands. I hope that this realization feels like a kind of freedom. This is my own experience. Freeing yourself from a rigid image you have of yourself and those burning emotions that your ego would like to cling or the same your ego would like you to cling to gives you a renewed diverse stability and flexibility. When objects are hard and brittle, then like goals or like glass, they are more likely to shatter than something flexible. Introducing a what you say bit of cave into your life is a wonderful release from all that pressure you have heaped on your shoulders in the past or had heaped on by others. It gives you the ability to take the ups and downs of life as they come with the strength of adaptability and opens you up to exciting possibilities. You will be more loving to your family, kinder to your neighbors and to yourself. You won't need to run away. You will be more understanding, more comfortable, and the reason you have had become so is because you have to let go. The fruit of being egoistical and selfishness is to remain, to find with their pressing suffering. The fruit of taking care of others is enlightenment. Often, what could we do? Everything comes from my selfishness. You may do something for your children, your parents or friends, but it's also for yourself. Even if we giving, there is some kind of expectation. We may be doing good, so it's not all bad. But we have some way to go. We need to realize our weakness and understand our selfishness. Then we can begin to change our attitude because right now the room in our minds is sometimes so small we can't even be there. So we must expand our minds and let go of our egos by understanding how important happiness is for all. You already know that happiness is important for you. It's a key part of your life. Everyone wants happiness. The first step is to know how important happiness is for everyone. Spiritual practice is about training your own mind, your own inner self. It is not about training others so easily. It is about how much you are able to expand your inner space. The author is the spiritual head of the 1,000 years old Drukpa order based in the Himalayas. Though humanity's existence, there has been a backbone of culture, tradition, and out of that has come religion. Since ancient times, human as a specific species have devoted their time and mental capacity to a higher being that we cannot physically perceive nor interact with. There are varying viewpoints from different disciplines that try to explain the nature of this God and where he or she resides, if anywhere. While many have displaced intelligent design a plainish plausible theory, mathematics offers that there may be divided but behind our existence. Theoretical physics has routinely said that particle dynamics can answer our questions, while biochemistry presents the primordial soup theory and DNA replication. However, there are people among us who claim to have had mystical experiences that put them in touch with this exclusive God on a level experienced by few. The idea here is that the brain itself, in creating the feeling of divine presence without the presence of the divine. This research also sheds light on the most familiar feeling that sometimes he is watching you, which is essentially the same feeling of presence. A subject in a God helmet experiment. It is safe to say that we may never know if our Creator resides inside our own minds, in another inaccessible dimension, or walks among us. Until then, we can only investigate our own existence as a function of what we can observe or from what we can infer about information we have already obtained. The biggest issue with a belief is that it's believable to be true, we take it to be true, and hence we never question it. This aspect we are already thinking of it. In truth, your beliefs totally define your experience. Moreover, too many negative beliefs has to experience all those beliefs in the form of physical manifestation in his or his reality. The ideal with free will and your capacity as a creator is that your reality will readily give you the evidence to support your belief. So, if your belief is that you can't manifest of your desires, then that's how it will be for you. The biggest block to manifesting your desired reality is the belief that it's not possible to manifest your desired reality. This belief comes in from having lived in the worker mindset all your life, since this was the mindset ingrained in you by the society, which was not really conscious to start with. To shift from a worker mindset to a creator mindset, it is a challenging process, but that's what we as humans are evolving towards on earth. And if enlightenment has any meaning, It's gonna connect you with your nature as a creator. It's not meant to just give you some experiences of blessed out peace. The worker mindset is the most limiting belief system towards allowing a faster reality. When you enjoy what you do, you don't think of it as a pain, struggle, and these actions are aligned with the vibration to joy, thus aligned with your desired reality. The freedom you need to realize is that you are not required to do anything that's not inspiring to you unless you make a choice to 3 so. श्रेयकांताय कल्याण निधे निधेतनाम श्री वेंकटनिवासाय श्रीनिवासाय मंगलम मंगलाशासनपर्यमदाचार्य पुरोगमयी सर्वैश्च पूर्वैराचार्य सत्कृतायास्तु मंगलम्.